If you ever wanted to see Master Miller / Albert Wesker dress up as Fox McCloud and do the disco minigame from Yakuza 0 to the Top Gun soundtrack, then this is the game for you. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't played that many racing games. I think realistic ones are boring. I need some arcadey action. I've played most Mario Karts, a little Need for Speed, Burnout 3, and stuff like Outrun and Crazy Taxi, if those even count as racing games, but still. I have zero hesitation saying F-Zero GX is the greatest racing game ever made. Okay, I have some hesitation. There's a ton I haven't played, could be missing out on something. But I have zero hesitation saying F-Zero GX is the greatest I've ever played. Better than even Burnout 3 or F-Zero X. GX is an incredible video game. Let's get the obvious stuff out of the way that you could hear from any review before delving into the fun stuff. The game is fast, incredibly fast. You feel the movement in this game. Your brain shakes while playing this game. Honestly, what else is there to say? This game feels awesome with its unparalleled emphasis on speed. Next, the controls. It controls unbelievably well. Once you get good, the machines feel like an extension of your mind. There is no controller, they go wherever you think they should go. Okay, there's a controller, and it's perfect. This game is the second best use of the GameCube pressure-sensitive L and R buttons behind only Mario Sunshine. The magic you can do with combining these two buttons is limitless. So much versatility in your movements crammed in these things. Moving your ship feels good. Just going around the track is the only cars fun in this game. Alright, next, let's go. This game is a powerhouse graphically. Nintendo thought SEGA was wizards for what they did here. They asked SEGA for the game's code so Nintendo could analyze how SEGA did it because they had no clue. You can see it looks nice, but it runs at a full 60 frames per second, with zero stuttering or slowdown, and 29 other races on the track, with this level of detail. Taste determines what you think the best looking GameCube game is, whether it's Metroid Prime 1 or 2, Resident Evil 4, maybe Wind Waker or Mario Sunshine. But regardless of what you think the answer is, I think we can all agree GX is probably the most impressive when you factor in performance and all that's going on screen at once. Or maybe it's still Resident Evil 4, I don't know, but you get the idea. Okay, I need to chill, relax, I'm sorry, F-Zero does this to me. Let's calm down and stop saying how everything in this game is awesome and instead talk about the development. So as you know, this game is a collaboration between SEGA and Nintendo. I say collaboration, but SEGA did pretty much everything, with Nintendo only in a supervisory role. This game was developed by SEGA's Amusement Vision, the team behind the first two Super Monkey Ball titles. GX actually runs on the Super Monkey Ball engine. The producer of the game is Tohishiro Nagoshi, one of gaming's most underappreciated legends. He started under Yu Suzuki at AM2, and he's the creator of Daytona USA, and then he did Monkey Ball and GX. He's also the main man behind the creation of the Yakuza series. Nagoshi has been director, producer, and executive director across the various Yakuza games. He was the primary force behind the creation of the first game. There was a lot of interesting information behind the development of Yakuza, but it's not really relevant here. The important thing to know is that GX actually shares a lot of the people who went on to make all the different Yakuzas. Does that convince you this game is rad? 13 people who were involved in making GX worked on Yakuza 0. I can't think of any better way to show how good GX is than that. In case you didn't know, Yakuza 0 is the best game of this generation, one of the best ever made. Anyway, here's what Nagoshi had to say during development on working with Nintendo. To be honest, we have free reign at this point. I was worried about that at first. If Nintendo planned to hold our hands through development, I would have suggested they develop the game themselves. That way we could focus on a project which would reflect our studio's abilities. I figured that would cause a war, but I was told most of the responsibility would be left to us. All I can say is, we're going to give it our best shot. And here's what he said after release. After it released, I got a call from Nintendo. They said they wanted to see all the source code for the game, and wanted me to explain how we made that game in that time frame and with that budget in detail. They were wondering how we done it. They couldn't figure it out. We were able to achieve something a lot higher than what Nintendo had expected. Nagoshi has a lot of respect for Nintendo. In 2002, he actually said the original F-Zero taught me what a game should be. He also said, to be totally honest, I was truly nervous about developing this game. He faced a ton of pressure to make a good impression on Nintendo because he admired them so much, and he almost quit the project. I'm really happy for him that it turned out so well. Nintendo was so impressed. Just a fun story. Nice to hear. I would say this is the greatest thing to come out of a Sega-Nintendo partnership, but really there's no competition. The only other thing of note is the Mario and Sonic Olympic games, which, I don't count Bayonetta 2, neither of those companies developed that game. I'm not sure Sega even had anything to do with the second game, I think they only published the first. So what is in the game? There's Grand Prix, which has 3 initial cups, a 4th you unlock soon enough, and then a 5th you won't get unless you're really hardcore. So let's say 20 courses with a possible bonus cup for a total of 26. There's a story mode, hey, that sounds interesting. A multiplayer mode I've never played, time trials, pilot profiles, what's that? Settings, and the garage. In the garage, you can make your own vehicles. It's pretty cool. You get 3 individual parts you can combine to make a ship, and a lot of parts in the game. You can customize the colors pretty well, pick whatever pilot you want, and even add a cool decal, if you like. It's neat, but honestly, I haven't delved too deep into it, but still, it's cool. The other part of the garage is where you buy things. You have to buy all the characters in the game, you only start off with the original 4. You can also buy ship parts for custom ships, and you have to purchase new story mode chapters here, you can't just do them all in a row. There's also some secrets here I'll talk about later. Let's talk about some of the course designs in Grand Prix. There's a good amount of visual variety in the locations, each type gets used multiple times and all look amazing. Big Blue in the previous games just kind of looked like a bunch of water, but now it looks like an actual city with buildings in this cool waterfall section. This is a SEGA game, so of course there's a casino, and there's the video gamey Desert Planet and Firefield, plus your standard cities with Port Town, Mute City, Andaropolis, and the new Green Planet. They all look, sound, and play great. The level design is pretty great, with these being some of my favorite. I like this section of Port Town long pipe with the fans. Lightning half pipe's a pretty unique design for a course, and you need to stay in the middle unless you want to be sliding around all over the place. Casino Palace double branches might be my favorite in the game. There's 2 paths to go at all times, and you can see the other racers racing above you. And pretty much all of Diamond is awesome, even if it's very deadly. Cosmo Trident is terrifying, and I'm glad they put it first because it's really easy to die on. There's no walls the entire course, so even though the course is a pretty straight line, you're always close to death. Sand Ocean Lateral Shift is really cool with the rhythm of the left-right shifts. In Aeropolis Dragon Slopes, you start off really high, and it feels like going down stairs. You are falling, but there's a strategy of using mid-air control to try and fall quickly, but also land on the higher platforms to hit the boost pad as soon as possible. Basically, there's some cool tracks in this game. The only one I didn't enjoy and dread playing is Mute City Serial Gaps. Even though I think it's cool, it's just tough to place high in it for me. I'm really bad at it. Oh yeah, haven't even talked about the best thing in F-Zero, the boost mechanic. So, once you reach lap 2, you get boost power. Boost in F-Zero is honestly a genius mechanic. Starting in F-Zero X, your boost meter and health are the same thing. The more you boost, the closer to death you get. And if you boost too much, just a slight tap will cause you to explode. This is brilliant. Most racing games are reflex focused, and F-Zero certainly is that, but this causes a level of strategy unseen in other racing games. You constantly have to think about, if I keep boosting, will I blow up? You need to find the optimal points on a course to boost effectively, both to maximize how much distance you travel and to not go straight into a wall, and see how many boosts you can fit in without dying before you find the next recharge station. There's so many decisions to be made, and you have to consider all this while navigating sharp turns and jumps at ludicrous speed. It also increases the consequences of your actions. If you bump into a wall to start trading paint with other cars, it doesn't just slow you down a little, it means your health decreases and you can't pass people as easily. And introducing the boost on lap 2 is great. It makes the start of the race have everybody kind of close together and you're just trying to gain as much ground as you can because you probably gained to first place in 1 lap. And then lap 2 comes and everyone starts separating themselves from the pack. Lap 1 also lets you learn what the health refills are. You'll probably have full health entering lap 2, but then entering lap 3 you've been boosting a lot and probably have a lot less health. Each lap has their own flavor. Lap 1 is feeling the course out and trying to slowly climb the ranks. 2 is separating yourself and rapidly gaining a lot of places. And 3 is surviving, trying to protect the lead or make up that last bit of ground without dying. It's great. All-time video game mechanic right here. Alright, you know about the development of this game, you know it looks and controls great, and it's got good level design. But let's talk about the most interesting part other than story mode. This game's soundtrack to me is one of the most interesting in video games. There are essentially 2 completely different major components of it. First is what you hear when you're racing. This game goes away from the hard metal of F-Zero X and generally has a more techno-trance vibe. The overall tone of the game actually is kind of a hard 180 from X. GX is super wacky and weird, but also has some class. X was straight hardcore rock and metal with a 90s comic book feel to it. X is rough, while GX I describe as more sleek. One of the first things you might notice is that the classic Mute City and Big Blue themes are missing. Big Blue is a completely new sound and you only hear a brief snippet of the classic Mute City theme. This kind of sets the tone of the game's sound. It's not interested in doing a lot of fan service and wants to do its own thing. And its own thing is a whole lot of things. Yeah, there's a bit of an electronic feel, but there's a whole host of genres here. One of the main composers is Hidenari Shoji, who went on to be the lead composer of Yakuza. Yakuza 0 is one of the best OSTs ever, and GX is of comparable quality. Firefield is the most intense track in the game, with an incredible guitar part at the end. Aeropolis starts off a little sinister, but grows into a kind of soothing atmospheric track that really reminds me of Monkey Ball. Casino Palace is a classic SEGA casino theme that feels like you're pulling a heist and the cops are on your tail. And the Mute City and Big Blue themes that are there are pretty good, even if Mute City is a little subdued. And if you really miss the classic themes, there's a code you can put in the shop to unlock classic versions of Mute City and Big Blue. I do love most of the racing songs in this game, but I do actually prefer X in terms of what I enjoy listening to while I race. I just think X is more intense and gets me more fired up to hear those classic F-Zero tunes. If the songs you hear during Grand Prix were all you heard, then GX would have a pretty good but inferior to X soundtrack. Luckily, there's more to it. Story Mode has some of the best songs in the game. Chapter 2 is this incredible cover of Red Canyon theme. This is the only time you hear it, which is a bit of a shame. Chapter 4 is Night of Big Blue, which is an awesome trance remix of Big Blue. It was used in the trailer for GX and is superior to the normal theme you hear on Big Blue and Grand Prix, although it wouldn't fit as well there since it's called Night of Big Blue, and these races clearly take place during the day, so I get why they didn't use it. They couldn't have. Once again, this is only heard in Chapter 4. Mission 2, 4, 6, and 8 all have a unique theme to them, and the music during cutscenes is also incredible. None of it was released on the soundtrack, and fans have been searching for some of it for years. Chapter 3 is High Stakes in Mute City, and some heroes recreated it, and you can find it on YouTube. Chapter 1 also has a sweet background song. Okay, so Story Mode adds a few bangers. Is that really enough to make GX the soundtrack an all-timer? No, not really. Pilot profiles. You know, pilot profiles. This thing in the menu. Instead of giving you all the background information on the characters in the manual, like an X, they made it a part of the game. You can get a close look at their ship and watch them flex here. But it also contains 40 unique songs for every character. That is ludicrous. Each character has their own theme. It's so unnecessary. So much effort for something that most players probably ignore. The only time you hear these themes is in this menu and for like 20 seconds if you beat a cup on Master during the little bonus video. I've used a lot of positive words throughout this video, and honestly, I've run out of them. These pilot profiles are simply astounding. The variety in them is stunning. They are so good that I'm going to tell you some of my personal favorites, and I guarantee you that if anyone ever watches this, there's going to be a ton of comments like, what about this character's theme? It ruled. And you know what? They were right. That theme did rule. Let's get this out of the way. Pretty much every theme with lyrics is fantastic. That's right, there's a lot of vocal tracks here. Captain Falcon, Super Arrow, Miss Arrow, Phoenix, Princea, and James McCloud are all incredible. I urge everyone to listen to these themes. Here are my favorite instrumentals. Dr. Stewart is pure rave. It's nuts. Jody Summers is extremely relaxing. The Skulls is really cool sounding and kind of creepy, and a very different vibe than the rest of the soundtrack. Tony Augusta, Blood Falcon, and Black Shadow are all good. Octoman is super wacky, and Johnny Tanaka is retro sounding. Dr. Stewart and the Skull are my two favorite instrumentals, but we need to talk about Captain Falcon's theme. It's the only one that's a full-length song. That's the great thing about these themes. All are pretty much 2 minutes or less, with a lot like a minute or a minute 30, so it doesn't take a lot of time to listen to them. Can you tell I really want you to listen to them? But Captain Falcon's is 3.5 minutes long with multiple verses. It's also a Christian rock song. I could see like the first 10 seconds turning people off, but give it a chance. It's a song about God, except it's really about Captain Falcon. Everyone sees this, and it's almost certainly what they were going for when they wrote it. Here are some words Captain Falcon's theme doesn't mention. Racing, F-Zero, Boost Power, Drifting, Blue Falcon, Bounty Hunter, Captain Falcon, Port Town, Punch. Here are some of the actual lyrics. Even I can feel the power. When I think of him, I see no fear, feel no pain. Forever he will be my hero. Better believe he knows the way. There is no other way to interpret that than being about God, or Jesus. The song honestly makes me laugh and get a little emotional. I love Captain Falcon. I'm going to link to a playlist of my favorite GX character themes. Please listen up to Falcon's theme. Everybody give Daiko Casho and Alan Bray a slow clap for creating these amazing themes. What else can I say, man? I love F-Zero GX. Go play it if you love hard games or awesome games. If you're into things that are cool as hell, go check out F-Zero GX.